Who has the right shoes? Who has the right sweater?
Oh, yeah.
Enough of that. Welcome everybody to the Gold Rush Cemetery. This was used 1897 to 1908. And you're looking around and seeing mostly wood boards versus headstones, right? Kind of looks fictitious, but we wouldn't bring you to a fictitious spot. These wood boards were slapped up, cheap solutions. We backed up on our original part of George Brackett's toll road. Coming even closer, folks. So these are surrounds. Many, were strangers. They had to rummage their rifle through their belongings to find any information, but if they have a surround, it's a Victorian tradition, built like a bed for the loved one to forever rest in peace. So Clara had a business, had family and friends. The city maintains the cemetery. You're at the north end of the temperate rainforest, so these wood boards don't last long. So yes, they are replaced time and time again. You're going to see 1898 on most of the graves. There were dramatic gunfights and shootouts happening, but the number one cause, is this a quiz question for any of you? Okay, quiz for those on Violet's bus, huh? What was the number one reason for the death? Ooh, I know, I'm sorry, I'm putting you on the spot. Cerebral spinal meningitis ravaged the tent city. Number 2 was cholera. Number 3, pneumonia, the common cold. Let's turn things around though. I can see in your faces you're wondering one thing. You're like, Valerie, will you just get to it? We've been waiting for this moment, some of you all your lives. Where is he, that no good, dirty dog scoundrel? Right up there, everyone. There he is. Jefferson R. Smith, also known as Soapy. Died when? July 8th. 40s after the 4th of July parade. At the tender age of 38 years old. That is so young. Why are you not crying? All right. Hey, Violet, they've been listening. That's good. We don't cry for this guy. Finest qualities. Liar and cheat. Sound like an ex? Any of you? Anyways, we're not talking about our exes. We're talking about that guy, Soapy. They soon found out he should not have been Grand Marshal of the 4th of July parade. They solved the problem. They didn't want him next to their loved ones in consecrated ground set aside for the good citizens. They booted him 3 feet outside of the actual boundary. Yep. They moved the boundary right here and kicked him out 3 feet outside, buried him behind bars where he belongs.
Oh.
Yeah, that's not the rest of the story, everybody. The dramatic gunfight is best told over there. You can follow Violet on the low road. I'll take the high road. Head on over to the grave of our hero, the guy who shot Soapy.
So, Frank Reed, our hero and our guard, is standing on watch. He's got a 6-shot on his hip. He's waiting for Soapy. Where is Soapy? He's been at his bar all day getting drunk. So, he stumbles on down to the dock with a Winchester rifle. He is coming. Well, when Frank sees him, he says, "Hey man, you can't come down here." Soapy doesn't care. He says, "I can do whatever I please." Reed, he grabs his rifle. He tries to swing it like a club at Frank, trying to knock him off the dock into the water below. Well, he's drunk and he misses. So, this is legal provocation. Frank Reed, our hero, he pulls that gun. He aims it at Soapy. He pulls the trigger. Well, he doesn't hear bang. He hears click. Uh-oh. In a terrible twist of fate, it does not fall on a full gun. It actually falls on a faulty cartridge. So, this makes it a very dramatic story, right? In the time it takes him to reload his gun, Frank Reed aims, and Soapy, of course, turns right back around. He sees murder in Frank Reed's eyes. The two men shoot each other just about the same time. Oh! Watch out. Soapy gets shot to the heart. He dies before he even hits the dock. Kaput. Painless. Easy. Well, we call him the lucky one. Trust me, Frank Reed is not so lucky. He suffers a rifle blast. Oh! No pictures, I see that there. So he gets a shot to the groin. He shatters his pelvis, as we'll say. And he does not die that day. He dies an agonizing 12 days later on July 20th. Yikes! Get a picture of the guys' faces. Don't think about it. Don't think about it. So, of course, the people in the meeting hall, they run out. They hear the commotion. They see Soapy is dead. Hooray! But we've got a man writhing on the floor in pain. So they rip off the door to the meeting hall. bring Frank Reed's body out to the Bishop Row Hospital when we had a hospital 100 years ago. That makes sense. Well, to no avail, 12 days go by and he dies. In the meeting hall that very night, a new deputy in town, Cy Tanner, gets together. He gets a couple of vigilantes together. They're going to go after Soapy's guys. They've got nothing without their fearless leader, Soapy. So they start running for the hills. Did you guys see our hills? Kind of hard to run up. Yeah, there's not much going on up there. So most of his con men friends were wrapped up and sent down to Seattle to justice. Most of them already had a prize in their head for being bad criminal. So something in all this commotion was forgotten about Soapy. He laid on the dock for over 24 hours in a pool of his own blood. No one cared about him anymore. Didn't want to be affiliated, huh? So the next day, a steamship rolls into town, and a couple of lovely ladies like yourselves, they all came out and they went to the mayor's office. They said, "Mayor, I had to step over this bloody dead guy just to get into your town." He said, "Welcome to Skagway." Happens all the time. You guys didn't see bodies this morning, did you?
No.
Okay, good. Me and Val got him out early. So it was a rough and tough place. That happened all the time, whatever. But there was pity from one person, Reverend John Sinclair of the Union Church. He said, "Okay, we'll get him out of here." So he hired a teamster with a wagon, got some church funds, brought a wagon out here, got Soapy's body, brought him out here, buried him 3 feet outside the boundary line. It was said to be the shortest and least attended service in all of Alaska's history. Only 3 people showed up, whereas 4 days previous, he had 10,000 people cheering for him. The Reverend and the teamster who brought him out there were 2 of the people. So they were meant to be there. The one woman who showed up, very mysterious, dressed in black and veiled. Now, we didn't know who she was. We didn't know she was there. The Reverend wrote about her. But we did know she was not Mrs. Soapy Smith. She was back in St. Louis raising their 3 kids by herself. So we're left to imagine this woman must have been his mother-in-law, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So the Reverend gets up there and he reads from Proverb. "The way of the transgressor is hard." Amen. Let's go to lunch. That's all Soapy got. I say more than he deserves, probably, right? Well, Frank here, our hero, he didn't have 3 people, but 2,000 people come to his service. They stood where you are today. They passed around a hat to raise money for this beautiful 13-foot-tall monument for Frank. Now, it says here, Frank H. Reed died July 20th, 1898. He was 54. Did you look around the cemetery and notice that was kind of an old age back in those days? Yeah, these guys were getting up there, you know? People did not live very long back in those days. Whew, this part still gets me. I'm so sorry. The sad description says, "He gave his life for the honor of Skagway." Oh, God. I hear you laughing. I know you guys are heartless. I hear it. No tears for my hero here. Okay, maybe you guys have done your research. Perhaps you're smarter than I look in this dress. Let's hope so, for your sake. So it turns out, after this monument was put up after Frank died, men came looking for him. He was no better than Soapy himself. Turns out he had murder charges down in Oregon. He ran up here to get away from it, right? So when he got here, he was a bartender, and sure enough, he finally became the city surveyor and engineer at one point. But he stole the equipment from the real guy. He was up on the Gold Rush Trail. As Frank was a bartender, the guy said, "Hey, can you watch my stuff?" He said, "Yeah, sure." Took the transit, laid down the streets of Skagway, straight and true as they are today, right on top of Mooresville, Captain William Moore's original homestead claim made 10 years previous. He sold off Captain Moore's land like it was his own, $5 a pop, and became a nice rich guy. So let's sum up our hero. He's a murderer, a thief, an imposter, worst of all in a gold rush town, claim jumper. But in our town, in Skagway, we choose to forget all that because forever on granite, in the largest monument in our whole town, will always be our hero. We know that's embarrassing. Do you guys want to know the moral to the story?
Yeah.
Yes. Die on a good day. Timing is everything. Now you know the rest of the story. Oh, go on. Really, go on. Oh, really, go on.